Hey, so listen, I'm gonna keep talking about this until I don't want to talk about it no more. Because like there's something like that I'm still in the process of learning and have learned, and there's something we all got to learn about showing up for one another. And it's this, like there are times where absolutely people need encouragement, and people, sometimes you don't feel like enough. And when we see our loved ones going through hard times or feeling depressed or feeling any kind of feelings, a lot of times, like I know I've definitely been guilty of it, but a lot of times like we want to rush in and raise their vibration and pull them out and send them love and light. And like it comes from such a good and genuine place. It comes from such a place of caring and loving and really truly wanting to show up. But sometimes we have to recognize when it's just really time to just shut up and just listen to people. I've really learned to just trust people, and I've learned to trust that people know how to work through their things, and when they don't, they ask. That's something I'm really trying to practice in my life, that if a door is not open and someone doesn't open the door to invite me in to share my opinion, I'm really working to just not even share it. Because many times, maybe someone needs a hug, maybe someone needs someone to sit there and listen, or even just sit there with them. When someone's feeling suicidal, you have so much to live for. It's like, yeah, but in this moment, I don't care. I don't know. Like sometimes I just want you to just sit. And many of us aren't comfortable with just sitting in just silence, sitting in just dense, heavy emotions with people. But if you're going to show up for someone, we have to learn how to recognize what the season calls for. And sometimes just asking for clarity. Like, hey, are you wanting my advice, or do you just want someone to just listen? Like, how can I show up for you right now? Me, I will always tell you, look, I just want a hug. Look, I'm not asking for an opinion. Or hey, you know what? What's your opinion on this? Like, that's how we communicate. And when people show up for me like that and they ask, how can I best show up for you in this situation? That feels like so much love to me. But when I'm expressing that, like, I want to jump off a bridge. I'm expressing like I'm lonely. Oh, you're not alone. You shouldn't feel like that. The worst thing too is like, oh, other people are dealing with. In that moment, I don't give a fuck about other people and what they're going through. I want to work through my situation. And so sometimes when a person is emitting energy through expressing themselves, through crying, through talking about what they're going through, like my mom is super good at this. Like she'll talk about stuff and she might cuss and go off, and then like I never hear about it again because she talks about it, deals with it, and moves on. But like sometimes people can't be okay with someone just venting or saying something that's perceived as negative. We have too many definitions on things, but like learning to communicate effectively and effectively show up for people, it requires us to know what a person is needing. That doesn't mean guessing. And yes, sometimes there's intuition. Sometimes, spirit, universe, whatever you call it, may inspire you to say a certain thing. That's one thing. But then sometimes it plain out comes from just not knowing how to read the room. And I've so been that person so many times, but like sometimes people just need to talk. When you do that, when you talk and when you're emitting that energy and letting those things out, sometimes you might need a hug, and that's enough to allow that energy to expand and to grow so that you get understanding. But when I interrupt you with my opinion, or I tell you to think positive, or I say, oh, you shouldn't think like that, why shouldn't I think like that? Many times we don't understand the trauma that people have gone through to bring them to this point where they feel hopeless and unlovable. But we want to rush in telling people they shouldn't feel like that when they may not have had any evidence to the contrary. So all I'm saying is, if we really want to show up for one another, let's talk to one another. Not giving advice, not sending love and light, because sometimes sending love and light, it's a way of banishing an experience that someone's going through. It's a way of banishing something that we don't want to experience because we're uncomfortable sitting with those emotions. And it's okay that we're uncomfortable. Maybe we're not the person to show up for that person, but do not tell someone to think differently, to be positive. You shouldn't feel that way. You're such a beautiful person. Well, you know what? I will work through that. And most people can work through that. Most people, if they're able to open up and talk, and if you need help, ask. If you need an opinion, ask for it. But just learn the seasons and we'll be okay. But don't silence my narrative and don't tell me what to do. Love you. Bye.